Hi students, welcome back to the video class of business regulation. In our previous class, we discussed about a bailment contract. Related with the bailment contract, today we are going to discuss about a pledge. So, this pledge contract is related to the bailment only. So, simply we can say that a pledge is a special contract of bailment. So, in this video, we are going to explain about the pledge contract. So, first of all, what is pledge? Pledge means bailment for security. Suppose say when a person giving loan to another person, simply he can't give the loan. He needs some kind of surety or some kind of goods he wanted to keep with him. That we call it as pledge. For better understanding, let me give you an example. Suppose say A and B is there. A took a loan from B, say 30,000, and B is asking, how can I give you 30,000 without any surety? So please give me a car, scooter or some other document as a deed. So that we call it as pledge. Here scooter is handed over in this case till that period, say 3 months or 5 months, whatever it may be, my scooter is with you as pledge. Now give me 30,000. Very simple. Both A and B will be comfortable. A have the right to take the loan and B is having their security. So what is the security in this case? Scooter is the security. The same thing is happening with you also. Suppose say you are taking some library books from the library, but they are asking some security. First give me your ID card, keep it here. Take it the books, use it and get back the book. Then only I give you your ID card. So ID card is here pledged. So this is about pledge contract. It is related to the bailment only. So this is discussed in the section 172 of the Indian Contract Act. And now here pledge is related with the bailment as I already said. So in bailment, bailer and bailee is there. Bailer is a person who is transferring the goods. Bailee is the person who receives the goods. That we know because we discussed this concept in our previous video. So, same bailer and bailee in pledge contract, we call it as pawner or pledger, that is bailer, and pony or pledgee, that is bailee. Are you getting it? Pawner, pony, pledger, pledgee. So, two parties will be there. A person who keeps the goods with him is pawner and a pony is a person who gives the amount. So, these are the two parties which are included in a pledge contract. Now, moving to the next topic, that is essentials of a pledge. There are some essential factors which are included in a pledge. So, the essential factors are delivery of goods by way of security. The security is meant for the payment of debt or performance of a promise, transfer of possession, returning of goods, movable goods, existing goods, contract. So, the first feature is delivery of goods. Delivery of goods is an essential element of pledge. The delivery may be actual or constructive. Now, the second one is delivery of goods by way of security. Delivery of goods from the pawner to the pony by way of security for securing a loan is must. So, it is very important. Now, the third feature is the security is meant for the payment of debt or performance of a promise. In pledge, the security is meant for the payment of a debt or performance of the promise. Next one is transfer of possession. It is only the possession of goods that is transferred and not the ownership. The ownership is always lies in the hands of the pawner. So, only possession is transferred. Next is returning of goods. On payment of the money, the goods are liable to be returned. Next is movable goods. It is only the movable goods such as documents of title, shares, valuables, etc. can be pledged. Immovable properties cannot be pledged. Next is existing goods. The goods that are pledged must be only in existing goods. Future and contingent goods cannot be pledged. Next and last feature is contract. Pledge is a special type of contract. it must have all the essentials of a valid contract. So these are the essential features of a pledge. Now next is rights of pony. The rights and duties of pony are almost similar to those of a bailor and bailee. So first we can discuss the rights of pony. Rights are right of retainer, retainer for subsequent advance, extraordinary expenses, right in the case of default of the pawner. So the first right is right of retainer. The pony has a right to retain the goods pledged not only for the payment of the debt but also for its interest and all incidental expenses for preserving the pledged goods. So right of retaining is one of the most important right of a pony. Now the next right is retainer for subsequent advance. The pony has no right to retain the goods for any debt other than that which the security was given. But in the absence of anything, there is an assumption that he can retain the security for the subsequent advances too. So this is also one of the important right of a pony. So the right is right to retain the subsequent advance. Third right is right of extraordinary expenses. The pony has a right to receive from the pawner extraordinary expenses incurred by him for the preservation of the goods pledged. Next right is right in case of default of the pawner. So if the pawner makes a default in payment of the debt, the pony has three types of right. So the first right is right to bring a suit against the pawner for the recovery of the amount due to him. So he has the right to sue against the pawner. Next is to sue for the sale of the goods in his possession and release the money due to him. He has the right to sue for the sale of that goods. And the last right is right to sell the things pledged after giving to the pawner a reasonable notice of his intention to sell. So he is the right to sell the goods that is pledged. So these are all about rights of pony. Now the next topic is duties of pony. Just like a right, pony has some duties also. So the duties are duty to take care of the goods pledged. The pony has to take reasonable care of the goods pledged and he should not make any unauthorized use or mix the goods with his own goods. Then next is he should not make unauthorized use of that goods. He has no right to mix goods pledged with his own goods. He must return that goods. Then he must return accretion to that goods. Accretion means increasing of the profit from that pledged property. So these are the duties of the pony. Now next is rights of the pawner. So the first right of the pawner is right to get back goods. The pawner has the right to get back the goods pledged by paying the debt or performing the promise. If the pawner is performed the promise or make a payment of the debt, then he has the right to get back that goods. Before claiming the goods, he has to pay the interest due and other expenses incurred by the pony. So this is the first right of pawner or pledger. Now the next right is right to redeem the goods. If a pawner makes a default in the payment of the debt or performance of the promise at the stipulated time, he may still redeem the goods pledged at any time before their actual sale. So when there is a default in the payment of the debt, pawner or pledger has the right to redeem the goods. Now the third right is preservation and maintenance. If the pony is careless in preserving and maintaining the property pledged, then the pawner has the right to enforce the preservation and proper maintenance of that goods pledged. The next is right of an ordinary debtor. Pawner has all the rights just like an ordinary debtor. All the right which is given by the law to a debtor is also applicable in the case of a pawner. Next is right to receive any increase of profits from the pledged goods. the pawnbroker has the right to receive any increase of profits from pledged goods during the period of pledge. So these are all about rights of the pawnbroker. Now next is duties of the pawnbroker. Duties of the pawnbroker is same as duties of the bailor. So we discussed the duties of bailor in our previous video. In addition to that duties, pledger has some other duties also. So that duties are duty to repay the loan and duty to pay extraordinary expenses incurred by the pawnee. So the first one is duty to repay the loan. It is the duty of the pawnbroker to repay the debt within the stipulated time. Now the next duty is to pay extraordinary expenses incurred by the pawnee. It is the duty of the pawnbroker to pay the extra expenses incurred by the pawnee for the preservation of the goods pledged with him. So these are the duties of the pawnbroker. So just to remind that pawnbroker has the same duty as the bailor. So apart from that duty, he must perform the additional duties such as duty to repay the loan and duty to pay extraordinary expenses incurred by the pawnee. Now moving to next topic, that is differences between bailment and pledge. Both the bailment and pledge have some common features. Both are created by contract between the parties and involve transfer of possession of goods from one person to another. In both the cases, only movable property can be the subject matter of the contract. So there are some differences also there. So the first difference is difference based on the purpose. Bailment may be any kind of the purpose such as a safe custody, repair, use, conversion of form, transportation, etc. While pledge is made for a specific purpose, that is repayment of a debt or performance of a promise. Once again, bailment may be any kind of purpose, but pledge is for a specific purpose. That is the first difference. Now the next difference is based on right to use. In bailment, a bailee may have the right to use the goods by the terms of bailment so provide. But in pledge, the pledgee does not have any right to use the goods pledged with him. In other words, there is no restriction in the case of bailment for the use of the goods. But in the case of pledge, a pledgee has no right to use the goods pledged. Now the third difference is right to sell the goods. In pledge, in case of default by the pledger to repay the debt, the pledgee may, after giving notice to the pledger, has a right to sell the goods pledged with him. On the other hand, in bailment, the bailee has no such right to sell the goods. He may either retain the goods or sue for his charges. So, in the case of bailment, bailee may either retain the goods or sue the bailor for the performance. But in the case of pledge, a pledgee has the right to sell the goods pledged. Now the next difference is based on consideration. In bailment, consideration may or may not exist, whereas in pledge, consideration is always exist. Now the next difference is based on guarantee. There is no need to guarantee of goods in the contract of bailment, but in contract of pledge, a guarantee of good is necessary for the purpose of security for payment of debt. Now the next and last difference is based on nature of goods. In bailment, goods must be movable type. Goods must be movable in bailment contract. The goods may be movable or immovable, but must be long lasting in the case of pledge. So these are all about differences between bailment and pledge. Now the next topic is differences between lien and pledge. Pledge is created by contract, whereas no contract is required in the case of lien. This is the first difference. The next difference is pledge is not terminated by the return of goods to owner for limited purpose. Right of lien is loss with loss of possession of the goods. Then pledge has right to sue, a right of sale and a right of lien. But lien holder can only hold the goods till payment is made. He cannot go to the court of law. So these are all about differences between lien and pledge. Now the next area is differences between pledge and hypothecation. The mortgage of movable property is known as hypothecation. It means to place or assign as a security under an agreement. Once again, hypothecation means the mortgage of movable property. That is the meaning of hypothecation. Now we can discuss the major differences between pledge and hypothecation. So first base for difference is meaning itself. Bailment of goods as security is the debt for the performance of the obligation or the payment thereon is known as pledge. Hypothecation is the pledging of goods against the debt without delivering them to the lender. So the meaning itself has some differences between pledge and hypothecation. Now the next base for difference is pledge is defined under section 172 of the Indian Contract Act, whereas hypothecation is defined under section 2 of the Securitization and Reconstruction of Financial Asset and Enforcement of Security Interest Act 2002. Now the next difference is based on legal document. In the case of pledge, deed of pledge is the legal document. In hypothecation agreement is the legal document. Now next difference is based on possession of property. Possession of property remains with the creditor in the case of pledge, but possession of property remains with the debtor in the case of hypothecation. Then parties. The parties involved in the case of pledge is pawner and pawnee. Hypothecator and hypothecatee are the two parties involved in hypothecation. Now the next topic for discussion is pledge by non-owners. The general rule is that only the owner of a goods or an authorized agent can make a valid pledge. The rule aims to protect the proprietary interest of an individual. In other words, a person who has a valid title over the goods, that is, the real owner of the goods alone can create a valid pledge. But a pledge by non-owner is also valid in certain situations. So now we can discuss that situation. So the situations are pledge by mercantile agent, pledge by a seller in possession of goods after sale, pledge by a buyer in possession of goods, pledge by person in possession under a voidable contract, pledge by co-owners in possession, pledge by person having limited interest. So now we can discuss each situation in detail. So take the first situation, that is pledge by a mercantile agent. Section 178 of the Contract Act mentioned the pledge by mercantile agent. A mercantile agent is a person who is authorized to sell or buy goods belonging to others. He may be entrusted with the possession of the goods or title deeds. So a mercantile agent can make a valid pledge. Now the next situation is pledge by a seller in possession of goods after sales. A seller who is in possession of the goods after sale is no more the owner actually. However, he can make a valid pledge. Next case is pledge by a buyer in possession of goods. A buyer who is in possession of the goods before payment of the price in full can make a valid pledge. Now the fourth case is pledge by person in possession under a voidable contract. A person who is in possession of goods under a voidable contract can create a valid pledge before such a contract is resigned. Now the fifth case is pledge by co-owners in possession. In the case of joint ownership, one of the joint owner is in sole possession of goods with the consent of the others can make a valid pledge. Last case is pledge by person having limited interest. When a person has only limited interest in the goods, he can also pledge. It is valid only to the extent of that interest. So students, these are the cases where non-owners can also pledge. It is valid. Okay, now we can discuss the questions which is related with this area. So the questions are: what do you mean by pledge? What are the essentials of pledge? Explain the rights and duties of pawnee. Explain the rights and duties of pawner. Explain about differences between bailment and pledge. Distinguish between pledge and lien. Differences between pledge and hypothecation. Non-owners can make a valid pledge. Explain. So students, now let me conclude today's discussion. Today we discussed the topic, that is contract of pledge. I think all you get an idea regarding what is contract of pledge. It is a kind of a special contract, and it is just like a contract of bailment. So students, now we can wind up today's session. We can meet in our next video. Till then, bye. Take care.